Hello, good afternoon. I am Irvin Bautista, and again, welcome to my vlog. I do have to apologize first because I have not done subsequent videos after that divorce video vlog that I was able to upload and share with you guys. I do appreciate that a lot of you have been emailing me, reaching out to me in terms of the divorce proceedings in Canada. And I do appreciate that a lot of you are interested in this kind of matter. Okay. Thank you for all of those who have actually sent out their inquiries. And hopefully, I did respond to most of you guys, if not all. But nonetheless, I do appreciate for you watching my video from East Coast to West Coast, all over Canada, and even in the Philippines. I do apologize for not doing so much vlog just because I was just busy with a lot of work. I do apologize for that. As much as I want to be an advocate for you, unfortunately, a lot of my work has been really demanded of my time, which prevents me from making this video. But today, I just wanted to discuss with you a more pressing video or issue that I wanted to actually discuss. Okay, I know for a fact that a lot of Filipinos are wanting to actually earn more income. I do appreciate that because from being an employee, having to save a lot of money, wanting to invest that or wanting to somehow use that as a source of income. Okay, be that in terms of investing in mutual funds, stocks, or let's say, for example, into real estate, wherein you purchase properties for investment and then you convert it into, let's say, flip it and sell it or convert it into a rental property, which is good. That's fine. Okay. There are those who are also thinking of establishing a business, which I usually recommend and encourage for you to do, just because at the end of the day, it would be more liberating for us to actually, in the long run. Okay. I don't like to be an employee for the rest of my life, and so are you. Okay. It's just more of the fact that we're just kind of blinded as to how we can actually turn our savings into businesses because unfortunately there are a lot of factors. I understand we're not going to discuss that, but just in case you do want to discuss that, let me know and I will be glad to have that conversation with you. But if there's anything that I would like to discuss today, it would be for the fact that there are a lot of Filipinos who are actually wanting to earn more income, okay? And then basically in terms of earning that income through investment in a certain company is something that kind of we are not really aware of. So if you ask, what am I talking about? I'm talking about people who come to you to actually encourage you, persuade you to invest in a certain company. Okay? There's nothing wrong in investing in a certain company. That's fine. Okay? And that's how it works with businesses. They invite people to become shareholders to investing some of their money and then eventually earn income if they do make profits. Okay? That's fine. Okay? You should just be aware of the consequences of it. Okay? Or other than that, is you should be aware as to what you're entering into. Okay? There are some situations wherein you could be investing in a certain company expecting a return of investment or becoming a shareholder. Okay, being a shareholder, you are entitled to any dividends, which means income of the company or the corporation at the end of the year. Okay, if the company earns something, and then the shareholders can decide to actually declare dividends or income, in which the income of that corporation will be divided among the shareholders. That is fine. Okay, there are those who are actually wanting to or encourage you to actually put out some money, not in a form of investment, but rather in terms of loan. That is fine, okay? But what matters to me and what I need to talk to you about would be any transactions that you're going to enter into, make sure that it has to have it has to have some form of written agreement. Okay, I always advise against having verbal agreement with several people, especially when it comes to money. Okay, why? Because a lot of people are being encouraged or being wowed in terms of, okay, I invest in your company, I get to have this certain number of shares, and then eventually I get to share in the profits, not knowing that there are so many caveats. A lot of people are coming to me wherein they have parted their money towards the other person, not knowing that it was actually, thinking all along that it was actually a loan, and then eventually, lo and behold, it has become an investment. Considering that they don't have any written agreement, it is not clear whether the money that they've given to the person is an investment or not. Okay, investment or a loan. Investment in this, if we're talking about investment, if you invest your money towards a corporation, you are actually buying a certain ownership over that property or over that company, sorry. And then eventually, if the company earns something at the end of the day, then you get to share in that income. But if, for example, the company loses an amount of money, just like what happened during the pandemic, a lot of businesses have actually closed, a lot of companies have actually went under. Okay, if that happens in your situation, then you are also affected by it. Okay, if, for example, the company loses income, then you would also lose your income as well. Then basically, if the share of the company, the value of the share of the company actually decreases because of the loss of income, say for example, you had to downsize, you are indebted, or you have a large amount of debt towards another creditor, that could devaluate your share, and basically you get to lose it. And it's not a form of loan in the sense that whatever amount that you have provided will be the same amount that you're expecting to receive at the end of the day. No. If it, say for example, you have investment $1,000 in that company as an investment, okay, if you have parted your money as an investment, you could earn more in return, or you could earn less in return. You could even actually recover less just in case the company loses. Be clear. However, that's the investment. However, if we're talking about loan, okay, it doesn't depend on the performance of the corporation. If, for example, you parted $1,000 as a loan, the company owes you whatever amount, okay, that you have provided them at the end of the day, or at the end of the term, or whatever deadline or dates that you have provided to return the money. So, for example, you've invested $1,000 in that, not invested, but you have loaned the $1,000 to the person as a director of the company or shareholder in that company, then basically they are obliged to return the $1,000 to you, back to you, if it is based on agreement. Okay? Now, of course, you would have some additional agreement in terms of interest. For example, of course, who would be loaning money without any interest? Bank does that. Okay, why shouldn't you, right? So if bank does impose interest on loans, you could also do that as well. Say, for example, 10%. Okay, $1,000, you get to earn $100 at the end of the term. Say, for example, you have provided the company 1 year to pay off $1,000, that's fine. And then basically interest. So basically, even if the company earns $1 million or $10 million, $10 billion, zillion dollars, they're only obliged to actually pay you $1,000 plus interest if there are any. But if, for example, the company goes under, let's say, for example, let's say they lost a lot of income. They didn't earn any income. They had to incur expenses. Say for example, during the pandemic. Well, despite that, they are obliged to actually pay you your $1,000 back plus the interest if there are any. Okay, that's the difference between an investment and loan. But of course, we're not here to discuss that. What we're here for is actually to discuss with you about having some sort of evidence to show what the purpose of your money is for. So, for example, you parted your $1,000 to, let's say, person A. What is the nature of that transaction? Is it an investment or is it a loan? Okay. If it is a loan, it is clear cut that you have to actually go and you're expecting the return of your money plus interest if there are any at the end of the day, whatever you agree on. Investment, whatever you agree on, depends on the performance of the company. Okay. Very important for you to have an agreement. A lot of mistakes, a lot of the Filipinos that I usually see, the mistakes that they commit would be not having any written agreement. Okay, written in agreement in the sense that if, for example, written agreement drafted and to be issued from the very beginning. Okay, a lot of people would say, okay, give me money now and I'll draft the agreement. I would want to advise you against that just because at the end of the day, you have already parted your money and you don't have any agreement to prove that that you have given that money. Okay, say for example for a loan. Okay, don't be don't try to be cautious in terms of the terms, in terms of the returns on investment that the person that you're talking to promises you. Okay, for example, okay, the company is earning money, we're expecting a lot of income for the end of the year because we're in recovery mode. Do your own due diligence. Okay, don't be settled with whatever statement has been provided on you. Don't. Okay, if there's anything, you need to be critical. Okay, don't be satisfied or don't be settled to parting your money without any agreement in return. I always advise to have the agreement first before you part your money, because that clearly defines your rights and obligations. That defines rights and obligations of both parties towards each other. Okay, because if, for example, you have parted your money without any agreement, you cannot recover that right away. And mind you, a lot of people can just falsify or can say, nope, I didn't do that. I never had any agreement with you. What's your proof? So at the end of the day, you're lost. So rather than part your money without any agreement, have the agreement ready first. And then basically, if all else is good, then part your money with the other person. I always advise, especially when it involves money, exchanges of money, to always have a lawyer review those contracts. I know for a fact that a lot of you might say, Irvin, it's just an additional expense. Yes, it might be an additional expense. Of course, mind you, lawyers are not free. Okay, but it's saving you a lot of money just in case everything goes sideways. Okay, if, for example, at the end of the day, there are so many violations in the contract. If either or both or one or either party does not comply, then you have a recourse. Okay, I would rather have a contract prepared, a written contract prepared, than nothing at all. Okay, because at the end of the day, people can lie, people can deny. Okay, because if, for example, your agreement is just verbal, unless you have a witness, okay, another person to witness that, hey, I was there, right? But if it's just between the two of you, usually transactions are just between the two of you, okay? If it's just between the two of you and it's a verbal agreement, who are you going to use as a witness to verify your statements? It's going to be a he says, she says statements, no? So you just have to be careful. And I would advise, so going back, it would be better for you to actually go and have a lawyer, retain a lawyer to review your contract, explain, provide an independent legal advice, explain to you each and every provision, which would cost you what, $500 to $1,000? I don't know. It depends on the hourly rates of the lawyer. Rather than, if, for example, the contract goes sideways, relationship turns sour, okay, and you want it, and you feel like you have lost money, and you wanted to actually run after the person, okay, it would cost you more. You would have to retain a lawyer because you would have to have someone represent you in court, and usually that's a lawyer. The lawyer would have to prepare any statement of claim, okay? And of course, in preparing statement of claim, we have to get the information from you, which would also be considered as work for you, and we would have to charge you, and then eventually prepare the statement of claim, draft the statement of claim, which will be charged again from you, and then eventually having you review it. And then if, for example, you say, okay, then we have to file it, and then basically the other party will, if we serve it, of course, it will be additional costs. And then if, for example, the other party receives it and has been served, then they have to respond. If they respond, especially if they have counsel, the counsel will have to, the counsels would have to actually reach out to each other to, of course, discuss these things, if possible resolution can happen or not. Okay, so that alone can be more expensive than spending $500. Okay, I'm not, a lot of people or a lot of you might think, Irvin, I don't think that's going to happen. That's fine. If this video is not for you, that's fine. I'm not going to force you. But just be cautious enough to actually do your due diligence, okay? It's not enough that you actually go and be satisfied with whatever statements they make. Let's say, for example, if you ask, are there any debts, corporate debts, any other secured debts or unsecured debts that the company has? Okay, you shouldn't be settled with the simple, meager answer from that person. You have to do due diligence, especially in Canada. You can do a property search. Okay, you can pull up a corporate search, and you will see who the creditors are. You can already see the financial status of that company. You can ask for, of course, any indebtedness. You can ask for financial statements. You can do that, okay? But don't be settled with any representations that they merely make. I think we don't, I'm pretty sure we don't, no, not that. The company doesn't have any debts, especially when it's verbal. He can lie, she can lie, she can deny, he can deny. Okay, so you should do your due diligence. It's a caveat emptor or buyer beware. Okay, so if you do not do that, okay, you're going to be at risk. Okay, because at the end of the day, if you want to actually, if you plan to go to court and sue that person, you have to be ready with your evidence. Are there any evidence in place? If there are, good. If none, unfortunately, of course, as court judges tend to rely more on evidence because they are to be impartial. They cannot say, okay, Mr. Bautista, I believe you. Okay, Miss A, I believe you, right? They heavily rely on evidence because evidence don't lie, okay? And the evidence that I'm speaking would be real evidence, objective evidence, or like documents, documentary evidence, because that can't lie. I can say that we don't have debts right now as shareholder of the company, but later on I can say, no, I didn't say that. What's your proof that I said that, right? So until and unless you have it in writing, it's going to be your loss. The only reason I'm doing this, okay, right now is because it is very alarming, because I have received so many information from different people, okay, not just in Canada, not just in Alberta, but also in the US, okay, who have actually initiated suits against certain individuals, certain companies, okay. Worst scenario is that, worst part of this is the fact that the defendants are also our fellow countrymen, okay. But I can't actually fault you on this, because who would have thought that your fellow countrymen would actually be the same people, or would be the same persons who will dupe you, who will actually fraudulently deal with you? None, right? So, but if there's any lesson to be learned here, you have to, regardless if they are strangers, regardless whether they're someone your friend referred to, regardless whether you're close friends, regardless whether they're people you know, okay, or fellow countrymen, I would always err in on the side of caution. Okay, so I'm just saying, because I'm handling actually certain files in this situation wherein they don't have any evidence. The only evidence that they have are text messages here and there, email exchanges here and there, that doesn't really capture the entire intent or purpose or the agreement of the parties. Yes, I can extract this is what you have discussed, but it doesn't necessarily paint the complete picture. Okay, so I need to say this. I can't stress enough. Always, always ask or demand for any written agreement before you part ways, part your money, because at the end of the day, it would be very prudent for you to be cautious and be more proactive rather than be reactive. Okay? So again, I hope that you are able to actually learn from this. If you have any questions, please feel free to actually email me at Irvin, irvin.bautista, bautista, @gmail.com. Again, my email is Irvin, irvin.bautista, bautista, @gmail.com. See you next time.